Welcome to Widowed Too Soon. This is Michelle Bader. I'm sitting here with my friend and co-host Mark Massaro.
That was a good one.
That was a good one. How are you doing, Mark? This
I'm
beautiful
doing
July
excellent.
day.
Yes, it is a beautiful July day. It has been a little humid here in the state of Tennessee, but I had a lot of people warn me about, were you just singing Tennessee?
Maybe just like in the background.
I heard that.
Like a background singer?
Yeah.
I wasn't quite committing.
You should just sing as I'm talking.
Okay.
So I had a lot of people warn me about moving to Tennessee because it's so hot here. And I think they forgot that these were all my like Orange County, Southern California friends that live by the beach. And they were like, oh, it's so hot there. I'm like, I think you're forgetting that I live in the desert of Lake Elsinore and we get like 100 and I just saw a memory the other day, 122 degrees.
Oh, that's not even like.
So yeah, when it's 90 here and humid, I'm like laughing at the people that think this is hot. Not really, it's hot, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just very humid. And so things have been going really well for me. I had I mentioned that I had my in-laws come out and visit. That was really cool. That was really neat to show them around and just for have them come visit my house and stuff. And we had a really good time together. And then Mystery Girl came and visited me and my kids for 4th of July, and we had a really great time. It was really sweet to spend
so awesome.
To spend time with her that wasn't limited to like being at a park or whatever. We just really got to spend some good quality time together, and it was everything that we both hoped for. And
so awesome.
It was just beautiful. It was just beautiful to spend that time together. And she's just a real sweetheart. And
did you do all those big fireworks? I saw a picture when you were
like,
Land of the Free or something. I don't remember.
What did I say? I said
something
about living in America.
Yeah.
Which I'm not used to.
And it's way better than, you didn't say this, but you've talked about before in California, you couldn't do all the big fireworks.
Yeah, there's just a lot more restrictions on freedom in California. And some people would argue that that's not the truth. Sorry about my phone. Sorry, I'm muting it. Michelle's giving me the stink eye right now because I'm supposed to mute my phone when we do these.
Come on, rules.
Sorry. Well, if anybody knows Zelda, they just found out that I'm a video game fan by my ringtone.
That's what that is, though. I used to play Zelda. I never realized your ringtone was Zelda until right now.
Yeah, it's when you get a secret in Zelda.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't know that. Weird.
I know, me too. That's weird.
Anyway.
Actually, it was the text from Mystery Girl.
Mystery Girl. Hey. So I think of like Scooby-Doo and the mystery van and the mystery this.
Yes, one day I will reveal her identity.
That will be a whole episode. It'll be like Mystery Girl revealed. Oh, maybe we'll have her speak sometime or something. We can like
I would love to have her as a guest. She's been through a great deal herself, and she has a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge. And I think a lot of people will be blessed to hear her story. But I'm keeping her private for her privacy. Yes. I'm ready to introduce her to the world.
Shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah. From the rooftops.
Mystery Girl.
That was amazing.
I know. Yes. Like I'm imagining you in like, like those like, I don't know, okay, what am I trying to say? Like the sheep. Okay, there's the sheep, and then there's the shepherd, but not dressed in like biblical shepherd times, but like the guy with the suspenders and like.
Okay, wait. I have no idea where you're going with this.
And like the shorts and the suspenders, and he's like, it's like that commercial Ricola. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
But you're on the top of. Okay, so picture that, and you're on the top of the roof, and you're like. Mystery Girl.
Okay.
She comes running. Okay, anyways, a little bit.
I like it. No, I get it now. I get the analogy now. For some reason, I started thinking of Grey Poupon. You remember those commercials?
Yes, that's the Grey Poupon. I remember that.
So anyways.
Showing our age. Anyways, okay, go ahead. Yeah. Back to you, Mr.
I can't believe you know that at 29.
I know, right? It's before my time.
Yeah, it's way before your time. So anyways, yes, I am excited to reveal her identity and share my girlfriend with the world.
That's right.
She's such a sweetheart. But anyways, so how have you been? What's been going on in Michelle land?
Amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michelle Bader.
Thanks. That was a good intro. So I also spent my 4th of July with Mystery Man.
who's not so much of a
otherwise
mystery.
known as Joel.
He's been a guest.
Oh, that's right. That's not gonna work so well to say it like that. Anyways, Joel came to visit, and like besides Christmas, like 4th of July, like the week of is like my favorite week because it's party, party, party. Like I went to a friend's house. She does like this like cool obstacle course thing, and so he participated in that. Like he jumps into everything. And then my brother has this huge 3rd of July party with like 100 people, and we play softball and do all this stuff. Of course, Joel was right in there. He's first base, he's doing everything, and like he was good too. I was impressed. And,
awesome.
Oh, there's
he
even
seems like an athletic guy.
Yes, and he just jumps in. Then there was a dance party. It was mostly little kids, but I made Joel dance with me.
Nice.
And just all kinds of fun things. And so that was an amazing night. And then we had the 4th of July. We got up. Oh, crazy too. So my cousin calls me, and she's like, "Hey, she's from Chicago, but she's in Eastern Washington." And she has I believe she has 9 kids, but 8 living at home. And she's like, "Hey, can we stay with you? Come on the 3rd." And like, sure. Well, Joel has the guest room, but we can like spread out everywhere else. So they were all here, like just all over the house, all the kids. But my kids love it too, having their cousins. They're from ages like 1 to 15. So it's fun having a baby around. Yeah. And,
wow.
And Joel was totally cool. He's like, "She can have my room if you want." I'm like, "No, she's good. You can have the room." But anyways, the point was, it was kind of crazy. And I stayed up till like 3 or 4 in the morning talking to my cousin and just like talking about everything. And then I got up at 7 a.m. to run a 10K, which is 6.2 miles. And Joel and I got up and we did the 10K, and it was so bonding and fun. And I've never like been able to, obviously, Luke had health issues and he never really liked running anyways. Let's just be honest. He never liked it, but it was really fun to run with him and just like laugh and just have such a great time. We were not trying to win it. Like we were, there's the people who are really fast, but we just did it for fun. And it was just a fun bonding experience that we did that morning. And then we hosted 4th of July at my house. And then on another day, he took my kids and my brother and my brother's wife and his daughter all up in a plane. He rented a plane for a couple hours and took them to see like our house from above, the kids' school, like all these things. And Hayden even got to fly a little bit, which he loved. And
nice.
it was just an amazing time, and just like
yeah, that's awesome.
Like,
and I like I was saying to you, that is like, I just think that is like the coolest boyfriend move ever, that it's like, want to go in my plane? It's just like, I don't know why, like that I just think that's like the coolest thing you could possibly like. I mean, it's cooler than like picking a girl up in a Ferrari or something. Right? I mean, it's just like, you want to take my plane?
Take my plane. And it was so cool to be able to, my brother really wanted to go up in a small plane, and it was his birthday. So I was like, "You want to go up in a plane for your birthday?" So that was really cool.
Oh, nice.
And he really enjoyed getting to do that. And, it was just like a really fun time. And then actually he left on the morning of the 7th, and that was Hayden's 18th birthday. And so that day was really special. Hayden really, like, his thing, he just kept saying, I want to rent a jet ski, which we'd never done before, but we couldn't figure out how. I was like, I can't haul that. I don't know what to do, but we found a place that would bring it to the water for us. And so we went, he drove, and we went jet skiing for his birthday, and it was super fun.
Nice.
And I had him sign everything because he was 18. I'm like, "You're liable. You sign it all."
Nice.
So
you're responsible for yourself.
Yeah, it was a weird feeling, like, whoa, you're 18 now. And
that's pretty interesting.
Got him some scratch tickets. He won a little bit of money, but I'm hoping we didn't get him addicted, because he said, they asked me if I wanted money back or more tickets. I got more tickets. Like, oh, great. I never asked what happened with those tickets.
Here we go.
I'm like, it's just for fun. It's just for fun. But, so it was kind of a weird, I didn't even have grief though. I thought I might, 18th birthday. Of course, I wish Luke was here for that, but I didn't have grief. Like, I had some funny moments, like when we're like going way too fast for like what I like on the jet ski. I'm holding on to him while I'm picturing just like, he was just born. He was my little baby. Now my life is in his hands. Like,
oh, that's pretty funny.
It was, so that was a great day too, having him, turn 18. And so weird. I'm like, I have an adult child. I'm too young. I'm 29. How do I have an adult child?
I mean,
like,
so that means you had him when you were like, what, 9? No, 11.
11. Let's do math.
Such good math skills. Let's do math. All right, everybody, we're going to teach addition today.
Anyways, side note. I mean, I don't know what the side note is. It's been an amazing last couple of weeks. That didn't even make sense. I just
side note. I don't know what the side note is.
I like to say side note. Let's see what else. Yeah, all good things. I'm in the process of interviewing from some different teaching positions and things like that. So maybe next time we record, I'll be able to tell you something, whether I took a job or I'm just praying about where God has me with building Widow Goals Ministry and also maybe teaching this year. So I'll be able to tell you some more of that. But I think that's it. That's a little bit about what's going on.
That's amazing. That's all good stuff.
It is.
Yeah, it's super cool. And I realized that I never finished talking about what I was talking about, that it wasn't a big deal, but just that, yes, I had a great time lighting off a bunch of fireworks.
Oh yeah, we never answered that.
I got distracted. And yeah, it was Mystery Girl described me. What did she say? So I don't remember exactly what she said, but just that she could see the excitement I was having and that she liked watching it. And I really had a good time lighting off the fireworks. And the kids were like, whoa. Like,
I'm sure they loved it. Like, they haven't seen those probably in California.
And I scared the heck out of my dogs, but I was like, whatever, they can deal with it.
They can deal with it.
Like, seriously, so awesome. Being in Tennessee on the 4th of July felt like I lived in Baghdad in the early 90s. Like, wow, it was crazy. Like, there were just like bombs going off everywhere. It was awesome. But I like that sort of thing. So yeah, anyways, so moving into the episode, before you continue on with what we're doing, I would just like to say that this is our 50th episode. Ooh. Wait,
what are we waiting for? Dogs barking?
And let me do it again. It's a crowd cheering.
Oh, yay. You could hear it for like a second and then it would sound like dogs. But yes, crowd cheering. We are at 50 episodes.
Can you believe it?
No, like I really can't. Like, that's a lot of hours. I can't believe people listen to us that much.
I know. Thank you. Gosh, thanks you.
Thanks for listening to us. Like,
thank you for all the awesome messages.
Yeah. Who've literally been listening to us like since first one, or they've gone back and listened to it. And, you know, people probably binge listen to us. maybe we made like that
Netflix.
Cut. And chill.
So, okay.
Wait, let's start with that story.
Yeah, let's start with this story. Okay, so we told you guys on the 50th episode that we might reveal this super embarrassing moment of mine that I had during recording one time that I begged Michelle to edit out.
I did.
She did, obviously, because y'all don't know about it. But, so I think we were talking about like dating. Like you were talking about like going out on a date.
No, I literally remember the moment. I was talking about how I when I had my tooth pulled, I remember it. I watched a lot like it was the middle of the day and I actually just sat there and watched Netflix.
Oh yes. And then so I've heard this expression a lot. I had no idea what it meant, but I was all, yeah, like Netflix and chill. And which, if you don't know what that means, we're not going to reveal it here, but you can Google it and find out pretty easily, because I did. And Michelle just got super silent and was like, oh, yep. And then she just like moved on. And so for the rest of the episode, I was just sitting there thinking, like, what was she tripping on? Like, what was that about? And so as soon as we stopped recording, she's like, do you know what that means? Mm-hmm. I'm like, no. And then she told me, and I was like, no, it doesn't. She'll, yes, it does. Look it up. And I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, edit that out, please. Like,
yeah. And you know how I think
so embarrassing.
I knew because a pastor on a sermon said that he said that to someone, and like he said that to a server at his restaurant, and like he didn't know what it meant. And then he looked it up, but he didn't say what it was either. So I had to go look it up. But that's how I knew it. It wasn't like my friends.
Yeah, it's so against our like what we like, you know, try to do on this podcast. And so I was like, oh my gosh,
it was
I was
really
humiliated
hilarious at the moment.
It was funny. Yeah, it was funny. But yeah, so there anyways, that's our secret revealed.
Secret revealed.
So yes, we are on our 50th episode, and we had asked for you folks to send us in any questions, and that we would answer questions or reply to you know, any comments that you may have had or whatever. So Michelle, where would you like to start?
Well, we got so many great ones.
We do.
I'm gonna start with Tanya.
Okay.
And this came from Instagram, and she has a bunch of questions. A lot of them are about marriage and dating and stuff that we're pretty much experts in now. Because you got Mr. Girl, I got Joel. So yeah.
We're experts now.
We're
Yes,
experts.
indeed.
So these were interesting questions. So the first question, I had a gentleman never married tell me to be very careful about dating a divorced person. He said to make sure they were divorced for, quote, biblical reasons. How do you feel about this? I definitely understand about dating someone who doesn't value marriage and has been through multiple divorces. So this is actually something that you and I have talked about, like when I was considering dating Joel. I had this same kind of question. And it's something like, it's still something that's difficult. There is some controversy. Like, what do you think about this?
Well,
Just pass it to you.
let's start with that. It doesn't matter what I think because there's biblical instruction to this.
Right.
So if somebody does get divorced for non-biblical reasons, then it is a sin to marry that person. There's a lot of there's a lot of catches around that. Like maybe you guys got married before you were believers. Maybe he got divorced or she got divorced before she was a believer. And I wouldn't know how to get into that specifically, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I do remember being concerned about that for you and going to my pastor and explaining the situation, and that he, basically said, well, yeah, I mean, that's a biblical reason to get divorced. And I won't get into specifics of that, of course. But it's something that is a very valid question.
Yeah.
And it was something that I didn't want to deal with personally.
Right.
I didn't want to go through worrying about that. And
yep.
To be honest with you, that was just my heart in that. And so it's hard because our heart wants what our heart wants, but
exactly.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, yes, you do have to be careful dating somebody that's divorced, because for one, you want to know as many details as you can, because let's say that somebody is divorced. Let's say it's a woman who's dating a man who's divorced, and that man was unfaithful to his wife. I personally would be really afraid getting into that situation, because it's like, well, if you cheated on her, why wouldn't you cheat on me?
Exactly.
But that's, again, this isn't my business. It's not my place to weigh in. Other than what I can say is biblically correct is that, yeah, it is a fine line that you do need to walk, and that no matter what you feel, there are certain applications that God gave for making it okay or not, because otherwise they are still committed to their wife if God doesn't see it as a valid reason for divorce. So that's my take.
Yeah, and I can speak to this personally, like being the person dating someone who's divorced. It's something that I believe you should pray a lot about and seek counsel. And I did that and came to a place of peace of that I do believe it's biblical reason, and that I do feel free to date him.
Yeah.
And so I think that is definitely what helped me, is I reached out to you because you always seem to know a lot about the Bible and stuff, and to other people and other friends.
Because I'm smart.
Is that from Forrest Gump?
No, I don't know what it was from, but it was just something, but I just, yeah.
You're smart. Okay.
Wicked smart.
Anyways, let's move on to the next one, because we got a lot of questions. Okay. How do widows who are dating decide if they should uproot their lives to follow a new spouse? In my case, it means leaving my young adult kids. It seems so unfair to widows who have already lost so much.
Wow.
So
that's a good question. And that I'm kind of in that situation a little bit, as Mystery Girl lives 5 hours from me. And so obviously one of us is going to have to move to the other one if we decide to get married. So, it's just something that I feel like you need to communicate about with the person you're with. And, we do have to remember the biblical order is your wife or husband comes first, your children come second. Well, God comes first, but earthly, your husband or wife comes second, and then your children come third. So you now, not to say that you don't care about, because the kids could have certain things that are reasonable reasons why they don't want to be uprooted, So, that is hard, but we have to decide that as adults first.
Right.
And so.
But what I found, I was just writing this down so I don't forget when you say the order, what I'm finding is tricky, as Joel and I are going through this, is that while we're dating, it is not the same order. It is kids.
That's true.
First.
Right.
And then each other. And so it's a little tricky because it will flip when we get married. But until then, we have to consider our kids first. And so that's
tricky. A fair point. That's a fair point. I look at it a little differently. If I know I want to marry someone, and to me, that person, she's already my wife in my heart. And so I don't, it's valid to see all sides of it, because if you already know, hey, we're engaged and we're getting married on whatever the date, and that person is going to be your husband and wife after that date. That's true. Really, that person is already your husband or wife in your heart, as far as just not legally, right. And it's just tough. It's a tough question to answer, because you don't want to disrespect your children, and you don't want to make your children feel like they've been ditched, or that they don't matter, of course, but then there's also part of it where, it's important for us to seek our own happiness, because our children are going to eventually get married and start their own lives. And we are going to be a back burner thought to them.
Yeah.
Their new marriage is going to be their new priority, and their children are going to be the new priority, as biblically, that's what it's supposed to be. We leave our mother and father and cleave to our husband or wife. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And, this is kind of where I'm at too. And where we are right now is that I am not moving. I don't want to uproot my kids from their school. Like for Haley, she has 2 more years of high school. Peyton has 4. And all of my side of the family, everybody lives within 5 miles. And it's just like, I can't do that to my kids right now. But that's not to say if we got married and there was something like we had to move, we'd have to. But that's kind of how we've decided, because he's in a different place than I am. So yeah, that's a hard question.
I think it's I think the best way to answer it is that it's situational. So
yes, that's good.
For us, Mystery Girl and I, she has her life developed. She has her family established where she's at. I just moved here to Tennessee.
Right.
I don't really have any connections. So while most biblical stories, if I can remember right, whenever this was a situation, the wife moved to the husband. That being said, it's situational. So in our situation, it would make more sense for me to move to her, because, she's got her whole life over there.
Yeah.
And I don't really have much of a life here, her kids know that as home, her family wants her close by, her job, her her friends and all that. And so, but it is something that we talk about together, and that we both try to be impartial on and stuff. So I think it's just situational is the best way to answer that question. You have to pray and follow, I don't want to cop out every question with, well, you have to pray about it. But I think that again is the truth in this situation, that you have to pray about it and find where you guys both feel peace.
Yeah.
So go on. Sorry.
All right. She's got a lot of great questions.
Yes.
Dating. Do you have any advice for widows who want to date again? I try to encourage widows, especially those who were married for decades, to put their best foot forward. Get advice, get your hair done, get a few new items for your wardrobe, be upbeat. It's a new world, and the way people date now is shocking. Yes. Keep your standards. Yes, hot mom guy. Keep your standards high and do not feel like you have to compromise your standards. So advice for dating, and I've actually heard you say this a lot, be the best you that you can be, so that you're ready for, can you say it in your own
words?
Because you're the one that got that
Don't worry about like for me, this was the wisdom that I got from my pastor, and I took it to heart. And he said, don't worry about the woman that you want to come into your life, even though I didn't take that advice perfectly. And I prayed about her every single day for a long time. But he said, become the man that's going to attract the kind of woman that you want.
That's good.
And I was like, oh, dude, that's so deep. I like that.
That's really good.
It's just the truth. You have to focus on you being the best version of you. And I see what she's saying too, that, yeah, you do have to put your best foot forward. And you have to commit to putting yourself out there, as the best version of you. And it's hard sometimes because a lot of us are still grieving. It's hard to get, I assume it's hard for a woman to get dressed up for another man when she's still grieving the loss of her husband.
Strange. Yeah.
And, but there's probably a part that feels really good to do that and to feel beautiful again. And, all these things. And so, just pray about it. No, just kidding. Just
everything. I have the same kind of advice, like work on yourself. Do not compromise. There's a lot of crazies out there.
Yes.
And you do not need to compromise who you are, your standards for anybody else. That's being desperate. Like God has the right person. It could come in the craziest way. I mean, you could start a podcast. Is that part of it? Wait, did we share that yet?
What, that we started?
We did. No. I was gonna go like the craziest way, that mystery girl.
Oh yeah.
We did share that.
Yeah, we did. How she
okay, I was like, do I need to edit this out or did okay? Anyways,
No.
My point was you can meet someone the craziest way. You can start a podcast and meet somebody through the podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
Is my point. Yeah. I just all of a sudden was like, wait, have we not shared that detail? Yeah, we have. Okay, it's fine. Anyways, like they could come in the craziest way. For me, it was like I saw Joel's picture come across Facebook, and I'm like, I think I went to college with him, and we reconnected. And you were like,
oh, hey, Joel, hey.
Hey, Joel, hey. Remember me? Yes. Anyways,
I did meet mystery beautiful girl through the podcast, and you have
thanks to who?
Thanks to you
and God.
All credit and praise goes to you, and God gets a little too.
I know.
Throw him a bone.
Okay. Anyways, let's keep going through questions. This is a good one. Thank you, Tanya, for all these great questions. Do you have moments of anger? They usually hit me when I'm dealing with something I would never have had to if he had not passed away. So, what do you think about that?
Well, yes, I have experienced it, but I don't anymore.
Yeah, me too.
But I have experienced it a lot. I've as I went through, just all the different trials that we go through when we're widowed, and the different things that you have to learn to do for yourself, and just all the things that you have to handle to like keep your life on track. And it's so tempting to just throw in the towel and be like, screw everything, I don't care.
Yeah.
And in those moments when I felt overwhelmed with all the things I had to do, I did feel anger sometimes.
Yeah.
But I learned, so even it's not just because I'm not facing those things anymore. I did learn that anger is not the correct response. Even though, yes, it came very naturally. I learned to sort of not turn it off, but just sort of get my emotions under control. That it doesn't do me any good to be angry. It just makes me angry. And like that causes me to not be as good of a father, to not be listening to what God has for my life. And I also learned very early on to express my anger to God. I was like, I'm so pissed at you for taking Lacey out of my life.
Right.
Or for allowing her to be taken from my life. And God can handle it. God can handle our anger and our frustration. And it's not like if you pray to God and get angry with him that you're not saved anymore. And what a beautiful testament to your faith that in your anger, you're still going to God. That just says, that speaks volumes, because a lot of people unfortunately go the other route, and they're like, there must not be a God. If he allowed this, there must not be a God. And I feel so grateful for all the people that have reached out to us, that have shared their faith, even in their difficult season that they're in, that as they, are essentially crying to us through messages, that they are still talking about God. And, I just don't understand why God would allow this. And I don't all that stuff is a testament to your faith, because you're not turning your back on God and you're not saying that there must not be a God.
Right.
So anyways, that's my
That's
2
good.
cents on that. What's your
I
school of thought?
really go through a lot of anger, just like you sometimes. Like, I'm so angry, I have to learn how to set a mouse trap, and I have to change the light bulbs now, and I have to or I'm angry that Luke's not here to help me with the kids or whatever.
Right.
But I didn't go through, they say that's a stage, but it's actually not. We've talked about this before. The stages of grief were actually created for the people who were dying. And so that was one of the stages. If you look at the history of all of that, it's more like waves of grief, not stages. But anyway, so I never really went through a big angry phase, but there'd be moments of anger. I found having something to do, like a physical thing, like running or punching a punching bag or have something to do when you're angry. That is your go-to, that a physical thing helps. I learned once from this conference that I went to, what happens in the fear, what we do in the physical is something in the spiritual, is also in the spiritual. It helps you if you're actually punching out, I'm angry, get it out. It helps you spiritually to get that anger out. So think about something that you would do to help you when you're angry, like a physical thing that helps. Talking to other people. Right. Yeah, that's something that works for me. Talking to other people who have been through it. Hopefully you've plugged in the widow community and you can talk to people who get it. You can always reach out to us. That has been something that's helped me with the anger. But then, I've come to the point where it's it doesn't help to be angry. Back in the very beginning, when I was 24 and Luke was diagnosed with cancer, I was very angry. I was so angry that all my friends who just got married, their husbands were healthy and they were doing all this stuff. And I held on to the anger for a while. And I realized this doesn't do any good. It only hurts me. And so also realizing that it only hurts you, so that's what I would say about
now, and also we have to acknowledge that Michelle and I lost our spouses different than a lot of you. Mm-hmm. We saw it coming for a long time. We had plenty of time to grieve, and it wasn't sudden for us. It wasn't shocking for us when they passed. I mean, of course it was, but it wasn't. Not like what some of you guys have shared that you've been through, and that we know what some of you have been through. And so we have to acknowledge that that for us, it was different. And so some of you may very well have gone through a lot of stages of anger and just being furious at the world. And that's okay too. We really try our best to recognize and appreciate the scope of what we're doing here. Yeah. And that, we can speak a lot to losing our spouses to cancer, but we don't know anything about what a lot of you have been through in losing your spouses to the many different ways we've heard about, whether it be sudden or suicide or any of the other many things we've heard about. And so, we don't want to be offending anybody by saying that, oh no, we didn't have these stages of anger and then you did, and you feel like you're doing something wrong. We are very aware that our situations are unique to our situations, and that some of you could come on our show and be a guest and correct us on a lot of things. So we don't claim to be experts, as we said in the first episode.
Yes. I thought you were saying we said in the first episode we were experts. We were saying we said in the, okay, got it. Yeah. Not
you with me?
I'm with you now.
So does Tanya have more questions?
Yes, she does. These are great. Thanks, Tanya. Great. How do you handle people who use Bible verses about their loved ones having favor and being spared? It's a good one.
That is a good one. And I actually, go ahead.
I'm just using an example God had favor and my son didn't get in a car accident or whatever.
Right. So I actually did experience some of that where very shortly after Lacey died, there was a friend of mine who was praising God that his daughter was saved from cancer. And that, that he just has other plans for her and all this stuff. And so I did feel what she's talking about, where it was kind of and not specifically to using Bible verses, like she said, which I do have some stuff on that. But just that, just kind of this feeling of well, why not Lacey? She was such a beautiful soul and such a gift to the world that why wasn't she spared? But, you quickly learn that like, well, that's just not the way the cookie crumbled, and I mean, that's just the simplest way of putting it. You don't learn it that quickly and that easily, but, you kind of have to have a recognition and just see their situation as independent of yours, and that be thankful that their daughter was spared and that their son was spared from the car accident or whatever. And treat it as independent of your situation, because it'll drive you crazy. And also it's not a healthy place to be like upset that somebody, and not that that's what Tanya's saying, but just in my own train of thoughts, I could have gone a different way with it in my thoughts and been like, why was she spared? But like, you don't want to choose that. You want to choose the approach of like, oh, praise God that he did intervene there or whatever. And, but as far as people using Bible verses, I have a lot to say on that. I had a lot of people expressing to me that, I had people reach out to me and say that Lacey's not doing well because you don't have enough faith.
Oh, yeah.
And, and just sending me Bible verses that were like, you just have to find joy in all situations, which at the time I was like, well, I have to limit what I wanted to say because, we don't curse on this podcast, but there were things that I wanted to say to them that was like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, don't tell me about how I'm supposed to be feeling right now, and I know a lot of people relate to that, and the people will send you, they have great intentions, but they'll send you Bible verses where they are telling you that you're supposed to like love the situation you're in.
Right.
And that count it all as joy. Like those were some hard Bible verses to hear at first. So anyways, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree in what you're saying. Having grace for people, again, they don't know that what they're saying how it can make you feel. They're not always thinking about that. They're just happy in the moment, like that so-and-so like doesn't have cancer and all of this stuff. But just realizing that if God allowed it, I can accept it. This was his plan. I don't understand it, but I can accept it. Like going back to like, I don't know why Luke had to die. I don't know why he died, but I can accept it.
Yeah. And those are not immediate results, right? That's a lot of telling yourself that, a lot of praying, a lot of counseling So we're not telling you guys that like, well, God allowed it, I can accept it, but Michelle's saying that that's the point that she's gotten to through a lot of counseling. And, I think it would be wise for a lot of you, if you're wrestling with your feelings and stuff like that, to start a podcast, because Michelle and I have got a lot of healing from being able to talk so freely about what we've been through. And thank God it's a blessing to a lot of you, but it's been therapeutic for us as well just be able to talk so openly about our feelings and have people that actually want to listen.
I know.
So thanks. We feel like you all could send us a bill for the counseling.
That's awesome.
So anyways,
Okay, got a few more from Tanya. I'll take this one because my kids are this age. How do you make sure your young adults are handling grief? And so I try to talk to them, and then, we can talk about how you do it with younger kids. But I try to check in with them and like, how are you feeling? Like, really, like what's going on? If you don't get it out, it's like constipation. You got to talk about it. You've heard me say that a million times, like, because I got that from my counselor. Like, you can't hold it in. What we feel, we heal. They know all those things, and so really checking in with them and making sure that and also creating an environment where you talk about your loved one, and it's a free, open environment to talk about those things. And so mine is a lot of like checking. It doesn't mean they necessarily talk to me, but like once Haley was like, I'm good, I talked to my friends about it. I'm like, okay, I just want you to be talking about it, not keeping it all in. So I think just checking in with them, and like, if they don't feel like they want to talk to you about it, like, is there somebody that you do talk to? Like, do you talk to this friend about it or whatever? So just checking in with them.
I like that.
Yeah, what do you say about like, how do you check in with your kids?
Well, there is another question we have coming up that is about smaller kids. So I will just wait to talk about that at that time. Yeah. Well, just so we can, make sure this isn't like 2 hours long.
What? Okay. All right. Two more from Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Tanya. Now I'm trying to understand okay, finances, how do you combine them, especially if there was life insurance? I think she's talking about if you get remarried. How do you respect your late spouse's wishes regarding inheritance to his heirs and also respect your new man?
That is a good question.
Great question.
Wow. Well, that's, well, money shouldn't be the focus of your relationship.
Yeah.
And I think when you're in the right place with someone, you won't look at it the same way.
Yeah.
When you see someone's heart for you, that you won't feel like it's, that you're building this independent life separately.
Right.
And but that's a hard question to answer, because I'm not going to lie. I had, I'm not going to get into specifics, of course, of my financial situation, but I had a lot of concerns. Like, how am I going to know if the next person I'm with likes me or likes my things? And, I was broke when I met Lacey. She liked me. It was like, she liked me. And it was like, there wasn't anything else. I mean, unless she was really into 87 rusted out Cadillacs, she was into me. And I didn't have that fear. But at a different stage of life, when, all of a sudden you own a home and you have a car and just whatever, it was hard. It was a fear that I had. So I understand where you're coming from. But then when you meet the right person, all of a sudden you want to share your life with them.
Yeah.
You want to share everything of your life with them. And so those feelings kind of fleet and go out the window. I feel when you meet the right person and you're in love, and you don't have those fears anymore because you see this person's heart.
Yeah.
And good. So that's my thought on that. What about you?
I'll just echo everything that you said. That's good. Word. Okay. Because
so
we got
that
a lot to get
again.
through. That again. Prenuptial in the case of older remarriages, ? Basically, I think she's asking, should you have a prenuptial?
What do you think on that?
In my own personal opinion, and I can't decide for anyone else. Because Luke and I talked about this before, and Joel and I have talked about it. Like, I feel like it is saying we're going into this, but we might back out. So I'm going to go ahead and separate our finances in case we do get divorced, then I still get what I came in with. And I feel like personally, I go into things 100%, and I'm not like, the only way that marriage is going to end is if someone dies.
Right.
So I don't want to do a prenuptial because I don't feel right about it. That's my personal opinion. That doesn't mean it's wrong for someone else. But what about you?
Right. I feel the same way. It's just my personal belief is all I can speak to. And just like you said, I don't mention the word divorce. I don't. When I say I do, I mean it for life. And there is no second guessing it. I don't have any thoughts of pretty much echoing everything you said, just that I feel so strongly that I wouldn't even consider a prenuptial agreement personally, because I wouldn't get married if I was unsure if this person was trustworthy or not. Like, when I'm in, I'm all in, and I don't want if something does happen to me, I don't want any complications for my late wife or for my new wife about her late husband. You know what I mean? Like, I want her to just have my stuff and not have any complications. I don't know how prenups work with that kind of stuff, but I would imagine it would make things complicated. And I wouldn't want that for her, and I wouldn't want her to think that I have any preconceived thoughts about that our future might not be solid. I'm like, no, I want to marry you. Here's all of my stuff. Here's all my PIN numbers, my passwords. Like, you're my wife now, and that's how I feel about it. I don't personally, just for me personally, I don't believe in prenuptial agreements.
Okay, good.
But then again, I'm not a billionaire, so.
Right. If we were billionaires, we might feel different. I don't know.
Maybe I'd have some lawyers advising me differently but I still don't think I would feel any differently,
Yeah. Got it.
Hey, she could have my billions and billions of dollars and my private jet. Oh, wait, I guess you don't have to be a billionaire to have that.
No. So awesome. Would you read the next questions? Maybe from
I had
you have pulled up in front of you?
This one isn't really a question, but this was something that was really touching to me from our guest Dwayne that was on our show.
Yes, he was great.
DeJoyce, really good man, and I love watching all your baking that you do.
I know, me too. It's
He's
inspiring.
such a cool man. Yeah.
Yes, he is.
So I'm just going to read his email and kind of, let us comment on it. Good evening, Mark and Michelle. I continue to listen to the podcast and enjoy hearing you both. I am so happy that you're both finding love and companionship at this stage. I wanted to address one part of your most recent podcast when you brought up the subject of whether the second year of widowhood is as hard as the first. It has not been for you both, but I think for me it has, because of a number of factors. You both mentioned the longer term aspects of your spouse's afflictions and passing. I believe that opportunity for closure and a gradual mutual departure is a beneficial factor in feeling less pain. My wife suffered a sudden, unforeseen, silencing aneurysm that totally cut off her communication to me, Additionally, I think both the happiness of the marriage and duration of it make it more difficult for someone in my situation. I had a very enjoyable 40-year marriage, as you recall. By contrast, I have met several widowed people who have come from difficult marriages, short and long. To me, it is obvious that this could have a definite positive effect on the length of time they feel grief and emotionally distressed. Finally, I would add one more consideration for my part. I expected that there would be someone else to fill the void that losing Esther left. I truly believed that would happen within a short period of time. Prior to anything ever happening to her, Esther had said that if anything ever did, I would find someone else. I truly expected to by now. God had other plans. Perhaps it is my stage of life, but the women that I've met, even Christians, don't seem very interested in having serious friendships, much less dating or romantic relationships. They don't seem to even want to commit time to develop friends. They don't seem to even want to commit time to develop friendship. Oh, I'm sorry. It leaves me bewildered. That's also left me especially disappointed after my initial expectations. Divorced women are especially prone to these inclinations. I have used a number of different dating apps and tried to meet ladies at my church. Very few either place are widowed, and of those, none are local or interested. Because of what I said earlier, I'm tending to more and more avoid women who have been divorced. I've been very explicit about being a Christian in my profile. I do that because I would rather filter people at the front end rather than hiding my obvious faith desires within anyone that I would want to have a relationship with. Why hide it? This isn't a competition to see who can get the most likes. So I just wanted you to have an understanding of where those people might be coming from who mentioned that their second year being at least as hard as the first. I wish it weren't the case. The Lord knows what he is doing, and I'm sure the pain is something he knew he could use to make me what he needs me to be. I have no better explanation. Warm regards, Dwayne. And wow, I was so thankful for him sending that for starters, because that is a very true perspective that you and I didn't mention or think about, is that the length of time. And we did mention that the sudden part, but we didn't mention the length of time. So Michelle and I feel like we were married for a long time, or with our spouse for a long time. But Dwayne was with his wife for 2.5 times the length that we were with our spouses. There is a lot to be said about that. And also we're in different age brackets. The dating pool would be smaller, as obviously as you grow a little bit older. And so anyways, I really appreciated his, his compassion that he shared in kind of setting us correct, if you will, that he was, very kind about it, but it also made me really understand where he was coming from, and just really saw that. And I was like, wow, people need to hear this, because there's a lot of people that probably feel the same way Dwayne does. And so I appreciate you sharing that, Dwayne. And what are your thoughts on that, Michelle?
Again, thank you, Dwayne, we love it when you guys point out something that, like that might not apply to me. Like I'm in a different place. And so it helps us, because we have a lot of the same perspective, the same kind of deaths. We're around the same age. I mean, I'm 29 and you're like in your 40s, but pretty much. And so we were married about the same amount of time. And so our perspectives are more the same on a lot. So it's good to hear from people that are in a different place and why the second year might be harder.
Right.
And so, yeah, I appreciate you being open, Dwayne, to sharing that with us. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gives us more wisdom about what we're doing. You know, it's so I appreciate the honesty and and the just perspective. So thank you, Dwayne. Okay, so the next one, you have to forgive me because there are certain parts of this that I'm going to redact.
What redact? Like
not,
I mean, I can figure out what it means. I've just never heard anyone say redact, but
really, like if like say there was like some CIA documents that were released to the public, but there were a lot of parts that were redacted, like blacked out. You never heard that?
I can figure it out, but I've just never heard anyone say redact. So thank you for the education.
Again. There's certain parts that I'm gonna filter out.
There you
go. So just forgive me and have patience with me as I read this because there's certain things I need to leave out or filter out.
Redact. Redact. Get to it.
If you want to get to it.
Oh, that's relax.
Yeah, but whatever.
Whatever. It sounds good. Okay, go ahead. What are we?
I was trying to think of another part of that song. Okay, sorry. Hi, Mark and Michelle. I have nothing but praise for both of you. Aww. You're being the hands and feet for the body of Christ in your ministry. I love and appreciate you for that and pray that the blessings will be beyond your ability to keep track of. Like, wow. My name is Ryan. I'm 27 and from Australia. And so thank you, Ryan. That was very kind of you. And we appreciate you listening. Good day, mate.
Australia's my dream country.
Shrimp on the barbie. I love Australia. I never been there.
It's my dream country, Angels. So I know we're gonna go there.
Okay, someday. But there's y'all got some creepy crawlies there that I wouldn't want to deal with. I watch these. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, but I watch these guys. His channel is called Shami, and they're these Australian guys that are just always pranking each other. So anyways, there's
interruption.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, we would both love Australia. So thanks for listening all the way from Australia, Ryan. So he recently started pursuing a relationship with a woman who's widowed. And we'll leave the rest of that out for a second. I'm trying to filter through to explain his question, what to say and what not to say. I found your podcast and listened to episode 42 where Joel was the guest.
Shout out to Joel.
Hey, Joel. Hey, Joel. I thoroughly appreciated the combined wisdom you all had and felt like hearing it from the Christian perspective was so perfect for me to understand and keep a biblical perspective. I have continued to listen to your podcast episodes, cherry picking which ones to listen to next. Your words have given me the capacity to show love that his girlfriend didn't think she would ever find. So first of all, I just want to praise you for being such a good man.
Yeah.
And listening to us to be a better boyfriend. That's really cool. Really commendable and just awesome. What a good man. So I apologize to you, Ryan, for butchering up your email here, but I'm trying to, filter through and not say certain things. And I'm trying to figure out how I do that as I go. But our questions and he was fitting the description of the type of person who would work well as a partner to those who have been through this. That's why he's listening. But your questions and perspective have been such a useful conversation tool. It is making her feel understood and loved unconditionally. Wow. You're such a good man.
For a second. Yeah. Number one, that he's out there seeking resources. And number two, let's just stop for a minute and pause from our humble beginnings. That now someone in Australia who's dating a widow is listening to us in the US who decided to start. I mean, that just blows my mind.
It's crazy. What? Yeah, I know.
Cool. It just all of a sudden hit me wow, that's really cool.
It's insane. So I haven't mentioned in a while, this podcast is being listened to in 57 countries.
57. That's
some of those countries, it's illegal to be a Christian.
Wow.
And I'm just like, wow, this is crazy.
It really is crazy.
So yeah, it's very humbling that you're listening to us, Ryan. And also I just give you praise, brother, for just being such a good-hearted man. It's just beautiful to read this. And I get to read it in its entirety and not filter anything out. And so I just am, wow, really blown away. Our conversations give him the confidence to, I'm going to read it in his words, not your conversations give me the confidence to approach topics that I was unsure of if I should talk about. For example, wanting to know about her, the man she was widowed from. I've wanted to know about him from the start, but after listening to your talk about what that would mean for someone who had been through this, I decided she needed to know that I was accepting of a love she still has. And I actively want to know about him because it was a piece of her I still cared about. And I feel like I should leave this next part out. My question for your consideration for episode 50. I'm unsure if you have covered it in a podcast already, but a concern she has about dating is codependency. She would very much like to avoid this. And I think she feels that the vulnerability that comes with being a widow, alongside the healing she still has to do, may lean on the relationship to solve anything unresolved and cause codependency. I would love to hear your thoughts on codependency and if you have any advice for supplying or receiving healthy support for a widow. She and I both agree that being a support for each other is a part of God's plan, but we would like to know how to do that in a healthy manner under these special circumstances. And then, he said some more, and then he said, "You're amazing and faithful people. God bless you and keep you, Ryan." And I don't want to use your last name just in case, but thank you so much, Ryan. Michelle, let's talk to Ryan. What are your thoughts on codependency?
Well, first of all, how I understand codependency, it's two people who basically need each other to survive. Usually there's one who's like more the needy one and one who loves being needed. It's an unhealthy relationship. And so how you can avoid entering into that is always keeping God your number one. If you need a person to survive, you're going to be desperately hurt all the time. I've been in this place before where I have had someone, I've had one friendship once that was pretty codependent. So I kind of am familiar with this. When one person, you feel like you need them for everything, then you're always going to be disappointed. You're always going to be hurt. And it's just not a healthy way to live. And so by always keeping God the center of your relationship, God is the most important, more than your significant other, and keeping him number one, you're not going to enter in. Because I can look back at that time period. It was when Luke was really sick and had this codependent friendship. I wasn't keeping God number one, because if I was, that codependent friendship wouldn't have happened. And so I think if you always keep him the focus of your life, you're not going to be entering into codependent. Now, there's a difference. You can support each other and help each other, but you don't need the person to live. I used to think I need Luke in order to live, but I realized that even after he died, I'm okay because I have God. And so I think I have a new perspective on all of that, having gone through death and watching my loved one die, is that I know that I'm okay. Because I thought the same thing about what if I marry Joel and Joel dies? And then I was like, I'd be okay. That would suck, but I would be okay because I have God. And so I think as long as you keep God as the center, you will not enter into a codependent relationship. What do you guys say about that?
I love that. I think that's great wisdom. And I also experienced some of those feelings as I was watching Lacey fall apart, is I can't live without her. I can't do this without her. And I remember feeling so desperate for her to be saved. And I was willing to go to all ends of the earth to make sure that she stayed here. And not just because of my love for her, but also there was probably a part of that was my dependency on her. And, I wouldn't say it was unhealthy, but we do go through these things and we learn that we don't need to be codependent on somebody, that God is our number one, like Michelle's saying. And so a couple things on that. For one, Ryan, I want you to think of it this way, because this is something that was shared with me that I just thought was so beautiful. There's a triangle. Okay. God is at the pinnacle of the triangle. He's at the top. You and your spouse are both at each bottom point of the triangle. as you both move up the triangle closer to God, you will also be closer together.
Mhm.
And so think of it that way, that you guys are both just trying to achieve closeness with God. And in doing that, you will automatically become closer to one another.
Right.
That being said, there is yes, codependency can be unhealthy, but I also want to remind you that God called men to love their wives as Christ loved and died for the church. So you should be seeking this sacrificial, selfless love for your wife. And that could be misconstrued as codependency. She is also supposed to be, submissive towards you. And that's not like a, yes, husband, I will do what you say, but just a being loving and submissive towards your leadership.
Right.
And those two things, when they are balanced well, can look like codependency, but it's not, because your focus is still God being at the top of the triangle. And then you will be loving your bride, your girlfriend, whatever stage you're in, sacrificially and selflessly. And she will fall away from those fears of feeling codependent on you or afraid that she's going to lose you, which is probably where it's driven from.
Right.
She's probably afraid of losing another man she loves. And so, you have to remember that in your mind and just keep loving her. Just keep loving her, keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing a phenomenal job, and just keep loving her in this way. And I think that she will let those fears go as she just falls deeper and deeper in love with you and sees that you want to be a sacrificial, selfless, loving man to her. So I'd just say, just keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right path, and try not to, and it sounds like you're already doing this, but try not to take it personally.
Yeah.
And just keep that focus of that she has been through something that, and I don't mean this to take credit away from you, but she has been through something that you can't understand.
Right.
She has lost something, and you're doing a great job of trying to understand. But there's just something about that you can't understand it unless you've lived it. And but I really want to commend you for what you're doing, sending us this question, listening to us to try to be a better man. That's beautiful. Seek first the kingdom of God, and everything will fall into place. So just want to praise you, brother. Thank you for the message. You're a really good man.
Yep. Thanks.
Keep going.
Yep.
So
we have
do you have
one more question?
Yes, and I have to
I got it.
Remember. You have it? Thank you.
I got it.
Okay.
So this is from Katie. She says, what are some tough questions your kids have asked you or caught you off guard with in the grieving process, and how did you respond? My kids are 7 and almost 5, and sometimes they ask questions. So this would be for you, because you have kids similar ages.
It'll be for both of us, because your kids have asked you some tough questions too. But with my kids being 6 and 9, right there where you're at, I do relate to this, because they do ask tough questions. But again, if you told us, I apologize. I can't recall off the top of my head, because I'm just thinking about many different people. I don't remember if you told us how you lost your spouse.
I don't think
but if it was sudden, that would also be different than what Michelle and I have gone through. So I had, at first we told my kids that mommy has back pain. Mm-hmm. Then I had to explain to them that she has a sickness that does not have a good prognosis. And so a lot of those questions came while mommy was still alive. And, but there were hard questions. There were definitely hard questions. Of course, the obvious, like, why didn't God save mommy? Or is there something that, I'm sorry. What, buddy? Yes, go ahead. You can have cherries.
So cute.
Sorry, we had to pause for a very important cherry question.
Yes.
He's my little fruit boy.
That's awesome.
So yes, I've had to field some very challenging questions and some challenging prayers. And does mommy, do you think mommy's proud of us? Mm-hmm. Of course, like I just mentioned, why did mommy have to die and things like that? And They are hard questions, Katie. They are hard questions. And I apologize. I don't have it in front of me. You said Katie, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure. They're hard things to deal with. And I would say be open, but also age appropriate.
Yes.
There were, because there's certain things that they're not ready to handle. And I'm still in that situation. I'm still preparing for the talks that I have one day. But like, I remember going and picking up my kids from my mother-in-law's house and, and father-in-law's house, obviously. Sorry, it's just kind of a habit to say my mother-in-law's house.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to pick them up the day after mommy passed away because they were staying there. And I remember they started asking questions. Is mommy excited to see us?
Oh, wow.
And that was hard at that time because mommy went through a lot of confusion towards the end.
Right.
So that we were going through some difficult times, and, I can just leave it at that. But having to pull the car over because I had to tell them I wanted to wait until we got closer to home because they live 45 minutes from me. And so on our way home, we didn't get very far. And I had to pull the car over and look in the back seat and unbuckle my seatbelt and park the car and turn around and say, I have some really tough news, kids. Like, mommy went to be with Jesus. And they just screamed out. And well, Luke cried because Alexis was crying and I was crying. He didn't really understand because he was, 4. But Alexis was like wailing, and it was very, very difficult. And we had a very hard night that night, and amongst many other days to come. And so, yeah, that's how you deal with it. Gosh, I mean, you have to take them one question at a time and be in fast prayer in your head before you answer. And Lord, give me the words, give me the wisdom to speak to this. Because it is hard. There's some hard questions that like you might not have the answers for, to be honest. I've been in that situation where I'm like, gosh, I don't know, but you just kind of wing it based off of their age and do your best to be honest. And so that's my thoughts on that. It is, but I do want to acknowledge that I don't have the perfect answer for that. It's situational and it's based on the question. If you had a specific question, I might be able to answer, how I would answer it or something. But, just in general, it's just hard. This is the life we've been given. This is the cards we've been dealt, that like, it's not easy.
Right.
And that makes it, kind of sucky sometimes to be a parent in this situation. But how about for you, for older kids?
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about actually 5 years since Luke was re-diagnosed. So they were young. They were 9, 11, and 13 when we first started talking about all this stuff. And I remember explaining to them that we don't understand all this and that it's like God's up above and he sees the whole world. And it's like it's like a puzzle. You know how there's pieces everywhere. Like we only see like a close-up of the puzzle, just the one little spot, but he sees the whole thing. And so when we don't understand what's happening, it's because he sees the whole puzzle, the whole picture. And that seemed to be something that helped them, just like, oh, okay, we don't understand it. So that was something I started using with them, like in the very beginning. And then, with the concept, like I still have one that's kind of struggling with this currently 2 years after Luke passed away, about why didn't God heal it, and just reiterating that whole thing that we don't understand. God has bigger plans, good things can happen. He's like, tell me one good thing that's happened. I said, well, I've been able to do a podcast and reach, widows all over the world. Like there's always good that comes. There's always good that comes from it, so trying to get them to see there are good things and we don't understand all of it. And just really like being open to that, have an environment where they can ask any question. There's no question off limits. They can say they're angry at God. They can say whatever, letting them know that it's a safe environment, and what we feel, we heal. You could even teach that concept to younger kids. Like, if you're sad, it's good to feel that. It will help you get better. You can just adjust it according to the age. But really just checking in with them, being open, honest, talk about your loved one, keep an open environment. But And just, yeah, be praying for wisdom every time that your kids are asking you questions. And God will give it to you. God says when you're lacking in wisdom to ask. And sometimes you might think you didn't have the best answer, but they remember it and it'll come back later. And so that would be my advice about
maybe,
that.
yeah, maybe it'll create more questions. And, you know, I also want to add on to that, that we are leaders for our children. We are what they look to. We are who they look to, obviously, right? But so here's the misconception, though, is a lot of times people think of a leader as somebody who's perfectly great. But a real leader is somebody who is vulnerable. Somebody who is willing to accept that they don't have all the answers. Somebody who is willing to learn. And so it's okay to tell your children, you know, to be honest with you, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to go talk to a pastor or somebody who's more knowledgeable about this, and I will get back to you. That is leadership qualities at the finest right there, because, you know, like I said, people think of a leader as like a know-it-all or somebody who's in charge, but that's a manager. A leader is somebody who is willing to learn from everybody, who's willing to teach what they know and not be afraid to relinquish control. And so it's okay. It's totally okay. And it shows great maturity to tell your children, you know, to be honest with you, I don't know, but I will find out the answer for you. And so, you know, I apologize that is what you were doing, Katie, and asking us. But, you know, maybe for specific questions, you can ask again, and I can try to help you answer that, or go to your pastor, or find a radio program you can call into, or just anything where you're seeking the answers, you're investigating on the internet, you're learning from authors. And I think that shows great strength and great leadership qualities and great parenting to be able to tell your children, mommy's not sure, but I will find out for you. So
that's great.
Anyways.
Good stuff. So I think, unless I'm wrong, I think that was the questions.
Or did you have another one? No, I think that's all of them too.
Thank you guys.
But I want to make sure that we don't leave any out.
Okay, you check while I talk.
Yeah, I'm going to check.
I was just going to say, thank you guys. Like, we got questions immediately when we put that out there. Thanks for participating. And we'll probably do another episode like this. I really like it, being able to give you directly what you're wanting. Like, this is my question. How do you deal with this? And we're not experts again. We are just giving our experience of what we've been through and what's helped us and helped our kids and all the situations. So thank you guys so much for your questions.
Yes. Thank you. Because without you, you know, all you people that I named, I'm not going to go back to, but we had Katie, Dwayne, Tanya, Ryan, and I feel like there was one other that I'm drawing a blank on.
I love it when you're like, I'm not going to go back.
I'm not going to go back, but I'm going to go back because I felt like they, you know, I wanted to give them the respect that they reached out to us. And so without you, we would not have had an episode like this today. So thank you, because your questions are probably questions that a lot of others have. There is one more question, but this one, we were not sure if it was sent to us as a private message with a question or if it was a question for the episode. So I'm not going to use her name for privacy. But she said, thanks for sharing the dating site where I met a great guy, which I don't know what she's talking about.
We must have mentioned it. I probably did.
But she said she met a great guy, and tips for getting her kids and family on board with an increasingly serious relationship a year after my husband's death. What do you think about that?
I think I did respond to this about
you did. Would you like me to read your answer?
No, it's okay. I can say it in my own words, but just basic. Well, those were my own words too.
I was thinking that too.
That's really funny. But basically, that you're not going to get everybody on board. You just have to know that. Like, there's going to be people say, "Why aren't you dating yet?" Oh, you shouldn't be dating yet. Da, 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 da. Like, just knowing that you're not going to get everybody on board, I think, is the first thing. And then I did go back and ask the age of her kids, because I didn't answer more, but I'll answer more now. Hers are older kids, that it's just about talking to them about it and kind of getting them used to the idea. Make sure that you, like, I always, like, no one's going to replace your dad ever. Like, that's not the point of this relationship. and making sure they understand that. I mean, that would be for all kids, young kids, older kids. No one's replacing your mom or your dad, and talking through that. And then for me, I decided my kids did not have a problem. I mean, it's been a little uncomfortable for them at times, but they did not have a problem with Joel or anything. But if they did, I think it would be like, I would still pursue him, because my kids are not going to control like what I do in the future. So that's kind of how I look at it. Like, I value their opinion, but as parents, sometimes we have to make the best decision, whether they agree with it or not. And if you have older kids, sometimes they won't agree with it, but you have to continue with what you think. So what do you think on that?
Yeah, agree with what you said. And I agree that not everybody's going to get on board. Your kids are obviously important to make sure that they're on board, but I think it's important to remind them that, well, I'll just use, you in this situation, not you, Michelle, you, got it. We're the person who asked the question. So
yeah,
it's important for you to explain to your children and to remind them that this wasn't your choice.
Yes.
That you did not choose this.
Right.
That you're just trying to do the best you can with the hand you've been dealt. Yeah. And that you still wish that daddy was still alive.
Right.
And but that you also don't want to be alone, and you also want to find happiness. And so that's kind of where I would just, and it's important to know, like what Michelle said, that you're not going to get everybody on board. So just like know that. But in time, even if your kids are against it, in time, if they see a man treating you properly, they will understand it and get on board with it.
Yeah.
And they're probably it's just probably weird for them. So
yeah. So thanks for the questions, everybody.
Thank you for letting us have 50 episodes of Widowed Too Soon. We are the most successful podcast on Anchor FM and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Number 1. No, that's not true.
Like, how do you know this? I didn't know this. I thought you were going to say
like Joe Rogan gets like 11 million per episode.
Right. But maybe in the Christian widow category. Like, I don't know of another Christian widow podcast. I know of other like Christian grief or other widow, but I don't know. So if you know, let us know. I'd love to know if there are other ones out there.
Yeah, so. I don't know either. And maybe
we are number 1 in the Widowed Too Soon category.
Yes. Yes. Nailed it. Okay. All right. So thank you for listening. I'm going to pray for us all.
All right. Sounds good.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the blessing of us getting to do this ministry and for it touching so many hearts. It's so humbling for us as we started this with no expectations at all of other than friends and family maybe listening. And we are just honored and just feel so blessed that you would use us in our stories to reach people and help people. It sure helps us feel like there was, some kind of purpose to what has happened. We thank you for all the people that reached out and asked questions, and we pray that that you would walk with them all through this. And we apologize, for the times that we are ignorant of what we're talking about, and we just want to learn and be wise. So we are thankful for people like Dwayne who would reach out and give us new perspective on things that we didn't know or think about. I want to pray for Ryan, that he would continue to be this good, loving man. And I was really humbled by that. And I just thank you for his heart, and for all the beautiful questions by Tanya and just everyone that's involved. We just thank you for this community. We thank you for what you've entrusted us with. We thank you for blessing our lives with the richness that you have. You're a good, good Father, and we thank you for everything. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen. If you liked this
this
podcast, that's the word. That's what we do. If you like this podcast, give us a little bing, 5 stars, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen, or write a little rating. No, the rating's a star. Write a little review. I can't talk today. 50 episodes. You'd think I know how to do this.
Yeah, you're doing all right.
And you can email us at widowedtoosoon@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, all the places. The places.
You know where we be. I like saying that.
You can find us in all the places.
I'm so hip hop.
Yeah, hip hop hooray. Oh,
Oh,
hey. Oh, hey. That's all. That's it. That's all I know. Anyways, thanks for listening, and we'll see you
This
guys.
is hip hop on a date, so give props to hip hop. So hip hop hooray.
Whoa, you do know it.
Oh.
Hey, we
Sorry.
couldn't do a 50th episode without a little rap time. So, yeah,
I can't. None of the rap I know is appropriate.
I know, right?
Yeah, I need to learn some good Christian rap.
You should. All right, guys. Well, we will talk to you next time. Have a great week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.